All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order and invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
No. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, discussion on the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion to approve the agenda?
Thank you, Val. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain. I did watch online though.
That's the minutes.
No way.
That's the minutes, yep. All right. The minutes were emailed out.
Yes, I apologize for the delay, but thank you for your patience.
Any questions, comments, corrections on the agenda, on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Thank you, Val. Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Philip. All right, further discussion? All right, all in favor of the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Wait, can you abstain if you made the motion?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
Well,
think you can.
That's fine. I'll approve it.
Okay, thank you.
He watched it
I watched it. I looked it over.
and read it.
That's good.
I'm pretty sure you can. I think council has done that before.
Really?
If you second, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'll go back and check, but
Abstain is just another vote. You know.
yeah.
Okay, open forum. Is that a,
We do have an individual on the call. If you are interested in participating, you can use the raise hand function or press *9 on your phone if you're utilizing that means. Looks like we're good.
all right, presentations. We have two presentations tonight, one by the police chief and one by our Administrative Services Director. All right, Matt, you're here. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Look forward to this meeting every year. We get a chance to kind of catch up with you guys. I'm hoping you have questions for me along the way. I'll try and give you a recap of what we're working on in the police department recently. We have a new police officer named Aaron Burns. So he has been just over a month, and he's already completed FTO. He comes to us from Robbinsdale PD. He had 7 years of experience there, so he's just getting up and going. So if you see Aaron in the community, please welcome him. He's very excited to be here, and we're excited to have him. He's doing a great job so far. We're just in the middle of getting ready for a truck safety seminar, which happens next week out at Public Works. It's a fantastic event. If any of you have any interest or desire, feel free to stop by and check it out. So far, I think we have almost 250 people registered.
Wow.
We usually draw a pretty good crowd for that, so another good event that's coming up. We're kicking off planning for Night to Unite already. In the police department, we have a new lead officer on it, so Pete will be still helping but transitioning over to Jacob. So Jacob will be working with Jessica here to have an even better event this year. So it's still continues to be a big success, and it's a ton of work going into it. So thanks again, Jessica, for all your work that you do on it.
I'm excited to participate with Jacob instead of Pete this year.
We won't tell Pete. No, I'm
You can
kidding.
tell.
Council also is looking at options for recruiting and retaining police officers. It's reaching crisis level across the state. There's, I think, as of yesterday, there were over 150 agencies trying to hire police officers, some of them with multiple openings. And there's certainly more people leaving the profession coming into it. So a lot of the programs are only, their enrollments are down, their graduations are down, they're only graduating handfuls of people. And so it's gonna get worse before it gets better, so.
Do we have openings?
Right now, we are fully staffed. We're projected to need to hire in the fourth quarter of this year. And there's still-
Retirement?
No, it's an additional one.
Okay.
It's part of our staffing plan. So there have been talks with officers here who have considered leaving or going other places because cities are offering a lot of incentives where the profession used to be, you know, if you moved anywhere in government, you'd lose seniority, you'd lose a lot, and most of the organizations now have taking away those barriers. So they're giving people lateral entry, and in fact, a lot of police departments are having hiring bonuses, some as much as $10,000, $5,000 for getting people through the door to come work there. So any place that an officer has thought about one time or another that might be fun to work at, they can go, and they really don't risk losing a lot. So for that reason, it's also important that we keep who we have and that we continue to be at least competitive in the job market. So the council's looking at what kinds of things can we do to stay a good place to work. So I think the upcoming council meeting, they have some items coming up as it relates to recruitment and retention. And hopefully that we can make some progress there. But we're doing well compared to a lot of police departments. There are some that are staffed at 50% or less of what they're supposed to be at. So there's a lot of challenges out there right now. And I mean, every industry is struggling, but we also, the warning signs for law enforcement are that with less people going into the programs, even if 10,000 people wanted to be cops tomorrow, it'd be 2 years before they, finish their degree and training. So it's going to be a bumpy ride. And those are kind of the hot topics right now, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have for me and go from there.
In theory, COVID is over, but people still are getting sick and needing care. How is that affecting this kind of long tail to the COVID pandemic affecting Corcoran's Police Department?
I think there's a lot, part of the real hard part when COVID happened was the unknown. And I think we've settled into having an understanding or an acceptance of it as a society. So our officers, know how to respond, know the appropriate PPE when they're responding to the homes. As far as personnel impact, we understand what it takes for recovery and the unique circumstance that it is for each person or their family members in that care. So I think we're in a better spot as far as understanding as it relates internally with staff and also in responding to it in the community. So I think it's easier just because we know and we have aligned expectations, and I think a lot of the unknown is now gone with it. So not dramatic impacts right now.
Nice.
How many full-time and how many part-time do we have right now?
Part-time is really tough. Obviously, there aren't a lot of people signing up to do this as a side job. So we're down to 4 part-time officers, well, 3 and 1 kind of seasonal.
Yeah.
And then we are at 12 full-time right now. So licensed. Yeah.
And are there 2 on at a time then, per
The
shift?
goal is to get there, yep, once, that's what the second, the second hire later this year should get us to having 2 on day shift, 2 on night shift, and then the sergeants work a mid shift from 3 to 3. So if nobody is off, then we should be at 2 to 2 around the clock, which is one of the main goals for the last editions, was to try and get there. We still rely heavily on our neighboring cities, and they still rely on us, and that works for now as long as we're able to keep our staffing up. Things were pretty thin around the time of COVID where we were short officers, and as were the surrounding agencies. But with, again, the greater understanding of it and getting our staffing levels back to normal, we're able to staff more regularly.
How is working with is there crime in the parks? What are the issues that draw special attention?
Not tonight, but.
Not tonight, no.
No, I mean, I think from our perspective, the parks are going well. I mean, it's usually the after hours. Our officers will usually stop and have a conversation with people. I'd be interested in hearing from you guys any feedback that you have on the parks, but I think things are going well from a public safety standpoint in the parks right now.
Good. I guess we should know about it if that changes.
Yep.
It certainly can.
Yeah, we'll share with you if we're running into problems, but I think things are going well from our perspective. So
It just had occurred to me as you were talking that at some point in the not-too-distant future, Three Rivers Parks will be putting another trail, this time not on a roadway, through the neighborhoods and cross-country. And they have their own police department.
they do, yeah.
Are we geared up to coordinate seamlessly with Three Rivers Parks?
Yeah, we have a good working relationship with them. I know the chief, and, obviously they have a large presence in Medina, and so they're at most of our regional, both for emergency management and our regional chiefs meetings, so we're we have a good relationship with them.
That's good. I appreciate that very much. That could turn into a turf war, couldn't it?
Yeah, it generally works out okay. I think some of the challenges, is, you know, Three Rivers has changed their structure quite a bit over the past, 5 years or so. They used to have a full-service police department. I think they were up to 28 officers, and they're now down to, last I heard, I think they were at 11 or 12. So as a policy, they've decided to reduce the number of officers. They have fallen back to relying for immediate safety things, relying on the cities that their parks fall in. If it's not a priority, life safety issue, then, if a person had a thing stolen from their car, then they might end up waiting for, an officer to come from, another county, depending on where their, 1 or 2 cars happen to be. They'll drive up to wherever, but if it's life safety, then they're relying more on the local municipalities. I think another topic of discussion that comes up quite a bit is the parks, facilities, and areas actually have pretty substantial investments, but they don't contribute to funding for fire service, for instance. So when you look at a community like Medina and calls for service or medicals in Three Rivers or at the golf course or anything like that, or, the golf course facility, those would technically count as calls for service against the city of Medina's contract. So there's a lot of talk in the public safety realm about should the Three Rivers Parks be required to contribute to fire service as they're building structures or creating demand for calls. They don't believe they should, and I think we have a differing opinion on that, but it's certainly a point of conversation.
Looking to see if, I don't want to hog the conversation here, looking to see who has another question. Hot topics at the legislature this year.
Yeah, there's a few of them. We've been down there. They're working on getting some catalytic converter legislation through to hopefully try and curb some of that. We've experienced that in Corcoran, as pretty much all communities have. There are a few other police reform measures that we hear are coming to be debated. We'll see when those come through. There's revisiting legislation as it relates to police officer PTSD and working to try and get treatment for the officers that have to separate, as opposed to just simply, exiting the profession, trying to create a path to treatment and help them stay on, and try and bring them back into the workforce if possible or appropriate. So, and if there's any other specific ones that you guys have questions on, there's probably a dozen or more that we've had conversations on at the state level, but happy to speak to any of those. There is state and federal discussion about recruitment and retention efforts as it relates to the law enforcement profession as well. So we'll see if anything happens on that end, ways to encourage people to enter the profession or serve their communities. So.
I think in your work session or whatever, recently, you guys were looking to, like a scanner for what, I don't know if it's for license plates or what
Sure.
type of scanner are you talking?
So one of the things that's been talked about with council members is automated license plate readers, but doing like the stationary ones. So where they're seeing it is actually a lot of private homeowners associations are beginning to get them. There are systems out there where the companies will privately maintain the data, so government doesn't have the data. It would only be requested in the case of if there was a criminal investigation, then they would put in a case number and be able to retrieve the data. Or if there's wants, warrants, or stolen vehicles, that would notify the law enforcement agencies. So they're looking at considering systems like that, for instance, in the right places in the community, so that our officers would be notified if, I think many of you might have heard the incident that we had in Ravinia this past year with somebody attempted to steal a vehicle from a home. Mm-hmm. And they arrived in a stolen vehicle, tried to go up and steal another car from the home, and ended up getting chased off, going into Medina, and then stealing a car there. So had there been one of those nearby there, the officers would have at least been alerted that, hey, a stolen vehicle drove past where one of these
So
cameras
it's like
are.
a eye in the sky type thing?
No, it's along the side of the road. So
Okay.
it's just mounted on a pole in the right of way next to a road. So They're pretty nondescript. Most of the time you wouldn't notice when you drive past them. And then it only forwards information as far as stolens or warrants, things like that, unless you're looking to use the investigative part of it. So if we know that, for instance, there's a red pickup truck that is involved in construction site thefts, we can search them for red pickup truck during this date, during this time, and it would be able to say, show us images of when red pickup trucks drove by, or matching license plates. So they could be a pretty good tool in trying to help, and I think some of the concerns with, as far as government data management, is mitigated by by this company's software, because they hold and manage the data. Or, for instance, an HOA, if they funded the camera, it would be their data, and then it would be only available to law enforcement upon request. So
So where would you think about putting it?
that would be part of a more comprehensive plan, so we haven't laid out a plan on
Okay.
where or what those would look like. So it's something that they could be obviously looking for entry and exit corridors to the community, or areas where we've identified that we've seen more stolen activity or more suspicious activity. So.
As opposed to looking for people who are driving through stop signs or, okay.
Right, yeah, they wouldn't have any function for traffic enforcement
Okay.
necessarily. It would really be more investigative. So, the state, used to have red light cameras or things like that, which
I remember that, yeah.
Yep, and in Minnesota, you can't do that anymore, because they determined there obviously isn't a way to necessarily prove who was driving at the time. And that, in some states, they are common. But this would be more for investigative purposes or notifications of wants, warrants, and stolen.
Okay.
Interesting.
New plans for Night to Unite? Bigger and better?
I have said for many years that I'm very happy with the event as it is, and I don't feel a need for it to grow. It takes a lot of time and resources. But from the very first time we had it, it's really grown organically from the community aspect, and I think that we certainly don't want to stop that either. So, Jess, you tell us, what does the future hold?
Yeah, Tom, that's not really a Matt question. I would say it'll look similar to previous years, but we do have. I don't want to give it away, because I kind of want it to be a surprise. I'm really excited about it.
You can play that card, that's absolutely
Well,
fine.
it's not something very exciting to like the average person, but from a park and rec standpoint, I'm really excited about it. Kind of like when Commissioner Christensen and I get excited about pens. You guys might not appreciate it, but we do. But I would anticipate the big party out at Public Works, and then we're hoping for more neighborhood parties than
neighborhood
normal.
parties,
So look into you people.
That's good. Could you get a little better weather?
do
Something
our-
less than 90?
We'll do our best, but we don't get to pick the date if we're going to follow the national program. They say it's always the first Tuesday in August, but, our holiday toy and food drive could certainly do better with.
Indeed, you could.
kidding.
Yes.
Anything I assist in planning will always have poor weather. You can just assume.
Other questions for Matt?
Those plate readers, can you like move them around then, or do you have to like pick one spot?
Yeah, they're not portable. So I think I know some agencies have talked about being able to mount them on a trailer, so it might be possible. But I suppose that you probably could. I don't know if would be part of our plan or not to have a mobile one. It's certainly something to consider. So the way that they operate is, from the manufacturer, from the company, they're solar powered and they communicate via cellular.
Okay.
So there would be, I think, the potential to do it. I think they're running into, they are common in some of this, there are cities that have them already. For instance, I think Wayzata is getting 9 of them or 11 of them. I know Orono and West Hennepin are looking at them, and we would be able to interconnect as well. So agencies that choose to share data with each other could actually share. So if we identified a person who was responsible for burglaries or thefts here, we could actually search that network of all of the cameras amongst all of our communities. So I think the answer is could be portable, but we're finding with the ones that have been deployed, the solar panels, once they're covered with snow, sometimes can limit the life of them. So either we have to go out and brush them off every time it snows, or consider hardwiring or something like
Do
that.
any of our neighboring communities have them?
Not yet. So there's one down in the Orono, West Hennepin area. So I think they have at least somewhere between 1 and 3 deployed in there. I think the Highway 12 corridor, I think there's some, and then I don't know where Wayzata is at with their rollout. I think their ultimate plan was going to be 13, but they were starting with 9 and then phasing in a couple more. And with some agencies, it's also not easy to distinguish because there's HOAs that might have them.
Sure.
So they're not necessarily publicly owned, but then they also are still an asset to the police department. I know the U of M, I think, is planning on getting a significant number of them. And I think there's
So wouldn't we encourage the HOAs around here, like, say, the Bellwether and whatever, to maybe get their own?
Yeah, certainly.
And they're,
Or, Ravinia, or whatever, I think is,
Yeah, it'd be up to them. There's an annual carrying cost, so it'd be up to them on what they are willing to spend to do that. I think that there's been enough instances where I think the council sees value in the community sponsoring somewhere, and then if we can partner with the private HOAs, that'd be even better.
are they spending? Of course.
Um,
Of course, everything is, but,
So to put them up, the company charges $350 one-time fee, and that's for the equipment and installation. And I believe the last number I saw, I think they were $2,500 per year per camera. And the big thing is that includes the data management part of it, which is one of the biggest parts of it is not having to keep the data. And we have a lot of government data practices and
Right.
retention and purging and access that goes along with it. So if it's not our data, that alleviates quite a bit. So you're paying a lot for that service, and then also their continued maintenance. If there's a problem, they come out and fix it and keep things going.
so 2,500 a year for the service?
Yep, that's everything. So,
That's not as bad as I thought. actually.
I was expecting way bigger.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty manageable. Cool. All right, any other questions for Matt? Matt, it's a pleasure to have you here.
thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you guys having me back, and it's fun to check in with you guys. So.
Yeah, and if, anything pops up that Parks and Trails can be part of the solution for, let us know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I'm not sure just what we do, but, we could send park commissioners out to,
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that come up with public safety. We have conversations where we try and get it right and meet your vision on things when we're talking about, vision for, something simple as trail lighting. So, if there's trails along a busy road, we'll usually I'll work with our engineer to try and say, okay, if we have the volume of people that we're drawing and the volume of traffic, if it's a collector road and a regional trail, we probably want some lighting so that people can avoiding it. But we also don't want light pollution where we don't need it if it's a different type of setting. So,
Yeah.
right now, we aren't there. Most of our trails are a long road.
Yep.
But as we start getting more off-road trails, there are things that we would want to, talk about as far as how frequently should we have lighting and where should, what public safety access might look like. We're not looking to be intrusive, but there are certain access requirements that we want to meet and still meet the spirit of your vision, so.
great, yeah, good. Well, we will, as that pops up, we will engage in the conversation for sure.
Great.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, is Jessica online? Is she
No,
just-
Kathy is going to be
Kathy's gonna do it.
presenting, yes.
Oh, well, excuse me, I did not know. Welcome.
Good. Thank you all for having me here today. My name is Kathy Hughes, I am your new Administrative Services Director. I started at the end of November, so what do I have, 2 months? 2 full months, 3, almost 3 months. So I am very happy to be here, tonight also. So I come with a wide variety background. I was in law enforcement for 31 years. My last rank was as a captain. I have overseen large divisions, small divisions throughout the metro. I used to run our dispatch center, so where we get our dispatching service for Corcoran, I used to oversee that department. My last role was the Hennepin County Jail. It's the largest pretrial jail in the state of Minnesota. So I had about 425 employees and a $45 million budget. So I've had very small departments all the way up to some large departments I ran. So my experience there is definitely hiring, firing, HR, processing, policies. I've written policies for years. I wrote the state's Lexipol policy manual, which we use in our police department as a regional rep. We all collaborated together back, oh gosh, it's been since 2012, maybe we brought it to the state. So I have a lot of background there. I've written post-board policies. I have experience in many areas of leadership and supervision, creating great effective efficiencies to make sure we're using our money wisely. After I was with my law enforcement position, the city of Minneapolis recruited me to be their director of emergency communication. So I ran the city of Minneapolis's 911 emergency communications department during civil unrest. So I was there until 2021. So my experience fits right into the city of Corcoran. Currently I am the HR director. I oversee our finance. We have finance staff, so I oversee them. I oversee our city clerk position and elections. But that's easy because Michelle runs that. That's the easiest part. And then all of administration. So helping Jessica out, our city administrator, the best I can, helping get some processes and policies and structures in place. Especially as we grow, we should do it now before we get too big and it's harder to pull back. So I'm really here to help. So if you ever need anything, please don't be afraid to ask. I'm here.
She's wonderful.
What a background, wow,
Yeah.
impressive.
How'd you end up here?
Hey.
Retired.
So I'm originally from Brainerd, so I come from a small town. My whole family still lives up there. I have 2 kids. One's 19, she's down at Winona State right now. And then I have a son who's 17, he is in junior in high school. So very excited to be here for the city of Corcoran. And I have pets. I love my animals.
What do you got? I want to know.
I have a dog, she's a miniature golden retriever, Luna, and I got her a kitten. She needed a kitten when I was at work. So I got her a kitten. Mia, she is 9 months old, and then we have a rescue rabbit my son wanted. So I'd have more, but you know.
And they all get along, right?
Oh, I'll show you pictures.
I love it.
Yes, they are all 3, they love each other. So,
Perfect,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys do, so.
So Kathy, when I moved in, the office staff was tiny. And it doesn't feel tiny anymore.
I know.
And I'm just, I think in the early days, it was based so much on relationships,
Right.
pretty extensively. But now that changes, what changes as the staff gets bigger? Yeah.
Do you mean the relationships with the people? Or
Well-
the relationships here with the community?
Well, I'm thinking internal, but I would also,
So when you grow, if you don't have good processes in place and good effective efficiencies, for example, we should get some sort of a work order system for our public works department. We're getting so big that we're beyond the days of just picking up the phone and calling one of the guys at Public Works and saying, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? So imagine them having to do that every day times 100 and trying to keep that organized without a good, effective process or system in place, and to make it easier for community members so that they can search things that are being done and keep track of for capital improvement projects and budgeting purposes and staffing. Helps with operations. So that's
Okay.
an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really helpful, because I mean, all I know is that, you know, one night coming home late from work, I got hung up on a snowdrift over on Oakdale, and, well, we called Pat, you know? Pat, I'm stuck.
I know. So imagine Pat getting
All these
all
calls.
the residents doing that, and then on top of that, all the emails he gets, and he's not able just to do his day-to-day job and, as a superintendent. So we want to help him so we can focus on the big picture of, you know, what we're going to do with public works and operationally and day-to-day things. So that's just like one example.
Yeah.
I always feel everything we do here, so the police department does one thing, it affects public work and the trickle effect of parks and rec, and we're really working hard to have a good team communication, you know, so we're all on the same page, so we know what's happening in all the other departments. And as we grow, just because almost all of us are under one roof, it doesn't mean we necessarily communicate. So we are really working hard to make sure we keep that transparency open, so we all know what we're doing to help each other.
And how about the relationship with the community, since as the staff gets bigger and people remember, you know, you used to call Pat for everything. Well, now you have to decide whether you're going to call Pat or Kevin. Yeah, and
Right, and that's something we're gonna message. We wanna message it in a way so that all residents understand, not only paper, electronically, in person, just so everybody in the community understands processes and what we're gonna be doing to help. It'll be better for community members too. I think they'll get great service, the same great service we're providing now.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
So also as we grow, we want to make sure, you know, our IT software and our services all integrate to the point where if we're doing something in one system, we don't want to have all these one-off systems. So one of the things we had talked about in our strategic plan meeting last Monday, or the Monday before, is doing architectural roadmap for our IT services and for our HR services, make sure we're lining up the way we should be, and providing the best service again for our community and our residents here, so.
I know I've asked the question a few times about whether we are pretty well insulated from having our whole computer system hijacked and shut down, and it sounds like that's something you're working on.
So we have good asset management, fleet management, all those things.
Yeah. Questions for Kathy, besides me?
Crazy. Over my head.
No.
Wow.
Well, Kathy, it's really nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet all of you. Yes, thank you for having me.
I think we've got you in here just at the right time. It feels like, as I walk through, you know, was here the other day and was in the other room, boy, a lot of people I don't know. So it is, the city is growing and the number of people working here is bigger, and it seems like now is a great time to have you come and give a sense of order and plan the growth.
I agree. It's a great time to be here.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here too, so
Oh,
thank you.
good.
Is
Yeah.
your office over there or over here?
Yeah, over here, like
Okay.
straight through the wall.
Okay.
Stop in anytime.
Just checking.
And if you don't want to have coffee, I love coffee, but meet you anywhere. So, thank you.
Thank you,
all for
Kathy.
having me here
Thank
tonight.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope your night goes good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Unfinished business? Thank you, Matt.
Go home, see the kids.
Do you have anything to say about the unfinished business, about the,
Yes, I'll go agenda item by agenda
Sure.
item. But as mentioned in the memo, Commissioner Christensen is officially Vice Chair Christensen. He accepted the position and was honored.
So what happens when you don't show up?
Another one. You certainly can. But no, I'll be sure to pay more attention to Tom and how you do everything.
There you
now.
go.
Watch how he swings the
Yeah,
gavel.
yeah.
Very important technique. No, he agreed to do it. We, the three of us, myself, Chair Anderson, and Vice Chair Christensen, all met last Thursday,
Sweet.
and I think we've got a pretty good game plan. I feel like we're gonna take everything on head first.
Well, thank you.
Tell Sharon she has to stay on for 6 months to train me, get me up to speed on everything.
I did not,
Oh, and now she's gone.
and now she's
All
gone.
right, I'll figure it out.
Well,
I think you'll manage.
Technically, she's supposed to be here till the 28th, so we could do one more vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So be it.
You saw what happened when you didn't show up. So
Yeah, I know.
All right, and then you also had a city remaster update.
Yeah, I just figured I'd bring it back
Thank you.
as we continue moving forward. I got it back from internally with staff. I'm making some minor adjustments to like the table of contents and a few staff adjustments that got proposed. And then my game plan, and I'm really hopeful I can do it, is to have it to the attorney tomorrow and then still be on time with that March 1st to get it out to consultants. So please keep your fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Remind me of that process. So we're sending it out. This is to rebid it out too? Or
This
no,
is-
this is not?
So what we did first was concept plans, so we got about 30% of the design completed. Now we're going for that 70%, so a lot of the budgeted costs are gonna be more accurate. You're gonna have a lot more in-depth plans.
This is still the engineering firm figuring it out. We're not going to
Correct.
contractors at this
Right.
point. Yeah, okay.
Right, this will just be
Gotcha.
consultants to
We
do
get a better
the
idea.
plans and everything, and then
Okay.
from that, we'll go on to contractors.
Gotcha. But we won't get bonding until next year?
Correct.
So we wouldn't even talk to the contractors till later this year, probably?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Good to know.
All right, thank you. It was a good question by
Oh.
Vice Chair, yeah.
Just do a good job.
All right, no new business. Active planning applications, are there any questions about that list of active planning?
Number 6 on there is the park dedication fees update. Is there anything new on that, or whatever there?
The fees went up a little bit, so
Okay.
should be getting more money back essentially. Staff internally worked on that a little while ago.
Is it just like a percentage? I mean,
Yeah.
nothing major changed, it's just due to inflation and things like that?
Correct. We reevaluated what the park system needs are, and we evaluated home assessor numbers, I think, or land assessments and things of that nature, and then took all of the data, compiled it, ran it by the attorney, ran it by a bunch of people, and then brought it to council. They approved it, and everything looks good. So hopefully we'll see more accurate numbers coming in that reflect inflation and everything.
Anything new since our last meeting on that Cook Lake? I know you did send out the email.
That would be the most that I know
Okay.
from it.
Okay.
And today, next to the llama farm on County Road 30, I noticed almost all the trees that were cut down have been hauled away. Is there anything that's come through on?
I don't know anything about it, but if you'd like, I can see what I can find
You
out
know,
and send a
I was wondering
follow-up
about
email.
those trees too.
Pardon?
I was wondering about those trees too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Anyone
one.
knows why they're cut down?
Well, I was told that there's an apartment building that would like to go in there,
Huh.
but nothing official has come through.
Get that
And then today I was distracted because the barn across the road collapsed.
Oh.
It's the old yellow barn that was looking sort of sad 30 years ago when we moved in. Now it is no more. It's actually been hauled away.
And this is the llama farm off of 30, correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, make sure you get
The
that.
same property? So
That's
they
a-
own those, where the trees were?
You know, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
You have to go to Hennepin County.
We'll
Maps.
find out then.
Yeah, but, you know, I drive I don't get to all of Corcoran between every session. I'm kind of a North Corcoran guy.
Okay.
So that's just,
Val, can I say something really quick? I was just gonna say, if you're interested in that Cook project, the Cook Highland Lakes project, there's a work session next Thursday for council.
Oh, is it?
At 5:30, you can jump online, just on the Zoom meeting, if you're interested in hearing more about that.
Did any of our group make it to that other one that Jessica sent out, Tom? I had every intention of coming, just so you know.
I was online, but
Were
I
ya?
had, yes, I
Okay.
had a sick child that I,
Yeah, I can't remember what happened that day, but something, something did.
yeah, I was here,
And?
and I'm trying to, I knew you were gonna say, I should have just kept my mouth shut and not admitted that I was here.
No, that's okay.
I pointed,
It was a-
yeah, I ratted you out.
It was, it was a
PUD discussion.
PUD discussion,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, and it is, the council is asking pretty fundamental questions about what do we really get when we give developers the ability to not develop exactly as the code says, because that's what a PUD does. How do we leverage that so that it actually advantages the community as opposed to the developer? And I think that's a really valid question. I think it feels like they're dealing with it, but it's complicated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, to give them more flexibility, well, is it flexibility for their own benefit or for the they still have a development which works for its residents and for the rest of the city. So, yeah.
I agree.
We can essentially, if we as a city need to ask the developers to do something which is to the advantage of the city. And if they don't like it, then they can always go back to doing it by the code. And that's always an option. We're not saying you can't develop, we're just saying that you just can't try and you can't take advantage of the system. And my point is always that we need to have a set of rules where we don't start in one direction and then say, well, no, we can't do that. So I think they're looking at making those rules clear enough so that a developer can come in, and there's always some negotiation, but it's not something where we're kind of yanking the developers around. That's not fair either. Yeah.
Tom provided thoughtful feedback during the work session
There you go.
on behalf of the Parks and Trails Commission.
I probably could go on and watch it. Or do they have it on night still? Is it recorded on night?
Yep, I can send you the link.
Yeah, we'll do that. Then I don't have to search.
There you go.
I appreciate that.
that's helpful.
All right, Jessica, you have a report,
I do.
as you always do.
Yes, things I've been working on. As Matt had mentioned, night 2 night prep is underway. I know it seems like it's so far away, but we can't make it successful without planning early. So we are already getting started. I'm also assisting Tom with the tree giveaway. We have 59 orders for trees so far. I would anticipate, though, that the numbers increase because we asked people to wait, if possible, until the 19th if they've ordered every single year on repeat, just to give some other people a chance. But like I said, we're already up to 59 orders, so
Of
that
the same
tells me
people?
anything. Some of the names are the same. I don't think all of them are the same, though.
Sure. What, do we need a permit again?
Do we need?
Permit
Yep.
to give them away?
Yep.
Oh, that,
So I will say this,
Makes
Councilmember Nichols had mentioned maybe teaming up with a local business, so I spoke with Heidi of Heidi's. And we just, after talking about it further, it was so gray and murky, it just didn't seem like a good idea.
sure.
So, we move forward getting our own permit. I will be submitting a request to the Northwest Area JCs. So my intent is to submit it for, I think it's already next week or the week after. They changed their meetings
Next
to the
week.
last Thursday of the month now, so got a little bit more time, but I'm gonna submit that and then I'll be at the meeting, both as a
To present
JC
it.
and a city staff.
Good.
So, other things, we are working to get a program coordinator, so a new Noah, if you recall. Tom and I did interviews, was that still this week? Tuesday? Monday?
Monday.
There were, I actually don't know that I want to say how many applicants, because if they do end up watching this, I don't want them to know all of the secrets, so there were some applicants, we're asking a couple of them to return, and then Jess and I will do final round interviews on Tuesday of next week, and then I should hopefully have a decision made by the end of the week, and depending on availability and when they can start, I could potentially have someone as soon as like mid-March.
Sweet.
Be nice.
Sweet.
You're telling me. Ice rinks, unfortunately, we did close them for the season on the 14th, so that was Tuesday, which then it got really cold, but it's also supposed to warm up again this weekend, so I think
They're
we'll just-
skating on it tonight
I saw a bunch of cars
in
there,
the
yeah.
dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of phone calls.
Their own driveway.
I updated the weather line. People are still out there skating. There's not a whole bunch I can do. And then City Park, just working on that RFP and taking reservations for the pavilion already and the ball fields. I think we have 3 or 4 groups now that have reserved it, but I think I've got upwards of 15 reservations total. So
For the,
for the park as a whole.
okay.
I think I've got 3 pavilion rentals and then I guess technically 33 field rentals because 11 rentals, 3 fields. So that's gone up substantially since
So
I
is the
started.
pavilion and like graduations type of thing? I mean, maybe they don't put on there, I don't know.
They do. I do have a spot that says activity on there.
Sure.
They're mostly just gatherings for like churches.
Okay, cool.
I don't know that I've ever really had anyone reserve it for a graduation party. I've had a lot of birthday party reservations. Mostly youth, but
Great. Oh, that's awesome.
people like it. It's a hot amenity to have.
Cool, nice, good. All right, thank you. Is there a city council member that's?
Did I not include the report? Did I not print your guys' city council report? Or do I just not have one?
I do not have.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Okay, well, there was a report, so I apologize. We do not have a city council member on tonight. He was preoccupied, but if you have any questions on the report that you do not have,
Can I send that out to us?
yes,
Okay.
so I apologize.
Do you want me to write in printed, Jen?
You're a commissioner.
It's fine. All right, garden club report. The ground is still frozen.
Very frozen.
I've started
Go out there and
seed,
check every day.
I've started seeds, yeah, I look out the window, yeah, no, ground's still frozen. So if you're a gardener, you probably are planting things like begonias right now, because the seeds are just like dust, and it takes 11 weeks or more to get a plant. If you grow petunias, those should have actually started some time ago, because you put those out as soon as it starts getting warm at all. So, yeah. It's everything I know about gardening in February.
How about marigolds?
Pardon?
How about marigolds?
Later, much later. They kind of explode out of the ground when you plant the seeds.
Okay.
And if you plant them too early indoors, then they just get too big and root bound, and
Okay.
it does not help to plant them too early. Park Dedication Fund.
There have not been any changes since the last meeting, although that could probably be assumed considering we had it 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Other business or announcements? All right, liaison schedule, does that still work for everyone?
As we get closer to that April 27th, we might look at maybe adjusting if possible. Otherwise, hopefully we have a commissioner on by then. It got posted to social media and it is open through the 17th of March. So if you know anyone, please feel free to pass that along to them. The application is online, and if they have any questions, they can contact me, Michelle, Jess Bizey.
Has anybody applied yet?
Not that I know of.
Okay, just check.
We had one person come in and ask about it, and she said she was gonna submit something, but I haven't seen anything yet. Yes.
Good.
Yeah,
Somebody showing interest anyway.
yep.
That's a start.
Mm-hmm. Good, good.
All right,
Next.
any other business? It seems pretty early to be done, but the chair will receive a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Good job. I second that.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.
That's gotta be a.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Especially with